not a single person really realized that that moment would be the beginning of such an imprinted story. Japan, with its calm city rhythm and small details that often go unnoticed, suddenly bears witness to something unplanned, unannounced, and not intended to be in the spotlight. But precisely because of its simplicity, the story of Taehyung and Jungkook in Japan feels so strong from the first second. The day went like a normal day. There were no large crowds, no media cameras, and no sign that the two global stars were there. Taehyung and Jungkook appear without flashy escorts, dressed modestly, as if merging with the surroundings. They do not try to hide, but also do not seek attention. Their pace is slow, relaxed, and full of familiarity, a sight rarely seen from two names who are usually always at the center of the world spotlight. First, only one pair of eyes noticed. A passerby felt familiar with the aura emanating from the two men, not because of the obvious faces, but because of the way they walked side by side. There was a calmness that felt natural, as if the togetherness didn't need to be explained. A few minutes later, small stories began to circulate. Not a sharp photo, not a clear video, but rather a simple narrative. I saw Taehyung and Jungkook together. That's where it all started. Slowly, small pieces appear. Another witness added details. They laughed quietly, stopped on a street corner, and then continued unhurriedly. No loud talk, no exaggerated gestures. Just two people who seemed to enjoy being together, away from the stage and the tight schedules that usually bind them. For ARMY, this moment felt like the answer to the previous long silence. No uploads, no explanations, and no public presence in recent times. Many wondered, speculated, even felt anxious. But the Japanese presented an answer that was not spoken in words. Taehyung and Jungkook don't disappear because of distance or problems. They disappear to return to being themselves. What makes this story so powerful is the atmosphere. The Japanese seem to give the right space. Not noisy, not demanding, and not forcing anyone to perform. In a small cafe, the two are seen sitting side by side. No constantly held phone, no tense face. Jungkook occasionally smiled a little at something Taehyung said. Taehyung replied with a casual look, as if time was slowing down around them. Witnesses said there was a long, but not awkward moment of silence. Comfortable silence. The kind of silence that can only be created when two people truly understand each other. They don't need to talk constantly to feel connected. And that is precisely where many people feel this story began. Not with big words, but with unadulterated togetherness. This piece of the story began to spread. ARMY's reaction was mixed, but dominated by one feeling: warmth. Many admitted that they were moved, not because of the sensation, but because of the sincerity that felt real. After years of seeing them on stage, with perfect concept, light, and choreography, seeing Taehyung and Jungkook in such human versions felt like an unexpected gift. International media began to cover the story. But the tone of the preaching is different. No accusations, no drama, and no excessive thrills. The focus is precisely on one thing: the beginning. The beginning of a narrative that does not begin with conflict, but with calm. Many refer to it as a soft beginning. A soft beginning, but leaving a deep impression. Some pop culture analysts call this moment a form of silent resistance to the exhausting rhythms of the industry. Without a statement, without clarification, Taehyung and Jungkook show that they are entitled to personal space, that they may choose when to perform and when to pause. Japan, in this story, is not just a location, but a symbol of safe space. Interestingly, after all the attention, Taehyung and Jungkook remain silent. No uploads explaining, no interviews confirming or refuting, but precisely that attitude reinforces the meaning of a moment. As if they said that not all stories need to be described in detail. There are stories that are quite perceived, not announced. Over time, many fans began to look back on their old interactions with a new perspective. Small jokes, brief glances, and silences that once seemed commonplace are now seen as part of a larger story. Japan is not the end point, but rather the starting point, the beginning of an understanding that their relationship does not always have to be visible to be real. Days go by, but the story lives on. Not because of the viral photo, but because of the feelings left behind. The feeling that the world, for a moment, was allowed to witness something honest. Something that is not designed for public consumption, but that is precisely why it feels so valuable that at the end of the day, everyone is a witness. It is not only people who see firsthand, but millions of hearts who understand its meaning from a distance. The story of Taehyung and Jungkook in Japan did not begin with cheers, but with slow steps and small laughs. And perhaps that was precisely the most sincere beginning of all. The silence did not end on the first day. Just after that initial moment, Taehyung and Jungkook's story in Japan develops in a way that is more subtle but feels deeper. They do not turn out to be more closed, but also do not suddenly come to the surface. Everything still goes in the same rhythm, slowly, naturally, and without the need to explain anything to the world. In the days that followed, several other apparitions began to be heard, but still with the same pattern. No close-ups, no clear footage, just little stories from people who happen to be in the same place. A small shop owner recalled two men who walked in without saying much, choosing items calmly, and then exchanging glances as if they had agreed without the need for a long discussion. A visitor to the park described seeing them sitting in a row, looking at the evening sky that began to change color, unhurried by time. All those details may sound trivial, but that's exactly where the power is. Not a single moment feels made to be remembered, yet they all leave a strong impression. Taehyung and Jungkook aren't creating a big story. They just live the day, and the world, unwittingly, is watching. Army began to realize one important thing. This story cannot be understood in the usual way. There is no conflict to look for, no recognition to wait for. It's not about surprises or big reveals. It's about process, about how two people who grew up under an extreme spotlight finally found a way to walk side by side in silence, without needing anyone's validation. Some fans even say that this is a rarely seen form of maturity, in an industry that often demands quick reactions and constant presence. Choosing silence is a bold decision. In Japan, in all its calmness, became the setting that allowed the decision to feel reasonable. The city does not press, does not force, and does not ask for anything other than presence. That on another afternoon, witnesses mentioned how Jungkook laughed for quite some time after Taehyung said something that didn't sound obvious. It is not a burst of laughter, but a restrained one, like a person who really feels safe. Taehyung just smiled, adding nothing, as if knowing that his reaction was enough. The moment was short-lived, but left a deep impression on anyone who saw it. Many began to understand that this story did not begin in Japan, but found its form there. Japan is just a place where everything becomes more noticeable, not visually, but emotionally. That's where the old pieces feel together. The previous silence no longer felt suspicious, but rather plausible. Distance from the public is not a sign of moving away, but rather a way to keep. Interestingly, not a single official narrative has tried to take over this story. There is no explanation that frames the meaning. There is no clarification that directs perception. The world is left to interpret itself. And perhaps that is the reason why so many people feel connected. Everyone looks at this story from their own point of view, but almost all of them come to the same conclusion. It's about sincerity. The days passed, and slowly the attention of the public began to subside. But different from the sensational news that is quickly forgotten, this story does not just disappear. It settles in memory, like a slow song that is not immediately realized, but continues to ring. Not because of the drama, but because of the calm. Taehyung and Jungkook did not leave Japan